titled Snow Day, was part of Professional Photographers of Canada, which is also known as PPOC, their 2021 national competition. 5 very highly qualified judges deemed this an excellent image. It was also the best in the portrait class, was put in the Lone Collection, which is the top 40 images of the entire competition, and was the judge's choice. It also helped the maker, that's Becky Fleury, whom we're going to meet very shortly. It enabled her to become the Portrait Photographer of the Year 2021. Now, it is no wonder that this image was chosen as such. If you look at the images, look at the poses of all the children. I know it's not easy posing children. Look at their attire, look at the props, look at the way the entire group has been put together. There has been tremendous amount of planning that's gone into this. And then look at the contrast that's in the image. The snow, the brightness of the snow, the dark shadows in the forest. It has been handled so well in post-processing. And I don't know about you, but I am keen to find out how this was done. So, without further delay, let's welcome Becky Fleury. Hello, Becky.
Hi, Manpreet.
So, Becky is a nationally accredited professional photographer, and she specializes in maternity, newborn, children, and babies. She comes from a small township, Oakbank, on the outskirts of Winnipeg in Manitoba. She's mom to 2 teenage boys, married to an amazing guy. She loves to sew, paint, and sing. Loves country music, and if you take her to a Disney movie, be sure to take a box of Kleenex. Now, Becky, these are some points I picked up from your website. But tell us in your own words, who really is Becky Fleury and how did she get interested in photography?
Well, I think that's probably going back my entire lifespan. My father was always photographing. He was a gadget technology guy, so he was buying the best cameras and the best lenses and taking pictures all the time. And, from a small child, I've always been very creative, trying to express myself in colorful ways, whether I was drawing or painting or decorating a bedroom. I wanted to be an interior designer at one point in my life. Everything I've ever really gravitated to has been along creativity. So I was also that annoying person who was always saying, let's take a picture, let's take a picture, let's take a picture. And everyone's like, oh. So once I had my own children, I actually had a photo shoot with one of my children and as a baby. And the results weren't wonderful. And I thought, I can do better than that. So hence I got myself a camera and started to photograph, loved it, and I went on to take to educate myself and to take some courses to learn how to use the camera, get out of manual mode. And the rest is kind of history. I just really took off from there. I've been doing it for about 13, 14 years now. And it's just really, really evolved from there.
So 13, 14 years doing it professionally.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, you put CPA after your name. What does that designation mean? What does it signify?
Well, actually, I now am an MPA.
Oh,
CPA is the first step, which is your Craftsman of Photographic Arts. And I've since become a Master of Photographic Arts, just 1 year apart. I got them quite quickly. I'm proud of that. The Master of Photographic Art is something you have to learn within the profession, within the Professional Photographers of Canada, both from volunteering your time and your service, in addition to accruing print credits at national competitions. So you have to do well, your images have to do well, and you continue to accrue those points until you meet such a level in which you become a master of photographic arts.
Now, I know she's a master because um, if you take a look at her website, she's got two websites, one for her regular work and then one for sports. Um, I will be putting the links in the show notes, but if you want to invest a good hour, go and take a look at her website. Image after image, I was blown away. I mean, um, come competition time, all of us have this dilemma as to which image can we choose to enter in the competition. Becky has a different problem. She has, which image should I leave out of entering the competition? I think each and every image there can be a competition image. And if you are a photographer, and especially if you're doing portraits, I would highly suggest go and study her images. If you look at the posing that she has done, observe the way she's positioned each person's hands, legs, the way they are standing, how she handles group portraits. That's an education itself. And if you've ever wondered, everybody says, oh, you got to develop your style. Go and take a look at her images. Go and look at the images of a team, a group shot that she's done on the field in her athletic website. And then go and look at a group shot of grads that's on the other website. And you'll see a style come through. So that's free education for you. Couple of hours of your time, go and study her website. I promise you'll be blown away. Now, this particular image, snow day, how did you come up with this concept? Was this for a client? Was this for a personal project?
It was definitely a personal project, and it's kind of exciting for me to even talk about how I got inspired to create this image, because it's been inside of me since
Mm-hmm.
high school, um, which seems like a really long time. But what had happened was, in high school, I was in drama class and went to Abbotsford, BC for a drama festival. And while we were at the festival, we were there with our play, but we were watching the other plays, of course, from the other high schools. And there was a play called La Neige, which is snow in French. And it was a whole bunch of kids, similar to that image. So if you look at that image, that was it. It was colorful. It was kids on the stage playing in the snow, making snowmen. And they all had very colorful outfits on, snow jackets. It was just whimsical. It was fun. It was colorful. And that play always stuck with me. And as I became a photographer, that's what inspired me. I thought, I want to do that. I want to recreate that Laneige. I want to recreate what I saw on the stage 20 some years ago. So that was my inspiration for the image.
Fabulous. Now, this image obviously took a lot of preparation, not to mention Mother Nature to cooperate, right? To have the right amount of snow. What went into the planning in terms of, you know, how did you organize the models for yourself, the clothes, the props?
Well, that in itself was a bit of a feat as well, because yes, I had to start collecting my jackets, the colorful rainbow jackets. I love rainbows. I've always loved rainbows. I used to have a rainbow bedroom as a child. So, starting to shop for toques and scarves and mittens in all of the rainbow colors. And the jackets were a bit of a struggle. Some of the main ones you'll find blue easy, you can find red. But when you start looking for orange, or even green, that wasn't that easy, especially in the vibrant colors that I wanted. So lots of sourcing. I had to order from all over the world, the jackets. And then the kids, I have sort of a few kids in my back pocket in the neighborhood. I have children, so my children's friends. So I just started to compile a group of kids, always making sure I have a good mix of girls, boys, even size. Size is something I factor in as well. So I started to collect the children, collected all the clothes, and then going from there, you just sort of start to piece it all together. What's really interesting about this one, Manpreet, that I want to share, and this has happened many times in some of the images that I've created, where I have this vision in my head, all this preparation goes into it. I get the kids, we go out, it's always fun too. I always make it fun for the kids, and it's a blast. So we had a ton of fun. We went out and we shot, and I came home. I took that, uploaded to Lightroom. I look at the images, and it's like, ugh, they're horrible. I did not like a single one of them. Like the location, I told the location was bad. I picked this big hill in the park. So I was either shooting down or up to them, which you never want to shoot up noses, down angles. It really wasn't bad. And if you'd like, I can share with you the image, because this was from the first session.
Yeah,
Snow day,
absolutely.
which we see today, snow day, was
Yeah,
actually the second session. And I think it's
yeah,
good to show people the learning
yeah,
lessons in
absolutely.
this, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
You want to share
okay,
it?
so sure, I'll share my screen with you. This here is the original snow day. So again, I did all my sourcing. I got my kids, I got my hats and toques and scarves. I came home and this is what I had. This was the best of the batch. I took the time to edit this image, but I knew it wasn't competition worthy. I wasn't happy with it. I knew I could do better. I'll add this was done in 2018.
Hmm.
And then the snow day we know today is it's 2021. So it took me 3 years to sit on this image and take some good hard learning lessons as to what I didn't like, in addition to find the enthusiasm to recreate it. So a lot of the things I didn't like too about this image, you'll notice that are different. Is first of all the posing for sure,
Hmm.
but it was the combination of the way I mixed their toques, hats, and scarves together. There's just a lot going on. I thought in my head, you'll wear the orange jacket, you'll wear the orange hat, and this other person will wear the blue, and I interchanged them, which, as you can see from looking at it, it's just not harmonious at all. There's too much going on. I mean, posing aside, I tried to capture a moment because any of the posing shots that I had from this particular session, I was not happy with at all. So this was my first try and it was a fail.
It was a stepping stone.
It was a stepping stone, a learning lesson. And that's okay
Yes.
because I went back and I perfected, I tweaked, I learned, I perfected. That's the way I
Okay.
kind of see it.
Okay. So, what was the next step after this?
So in the making of this one, um, you can clearly see that I changed them differently. I clothed them differently. I made it much more simplified as far as we have enough going on with these colors already. We have five vibrant colors. I didn't need to confuse it by mixing and matching. So I ensured to keep orange with orange, yellow with yellow, and so on. Um, Now I got my location. I shot. I always shoot at sunset, so this was probably 45 minutes before the sun went down, maybe an hour before. Um, but that day I went to scope out my spot. It had snowed a lot here in Winnipeg, and I live in central Canada, so snow is never an issue. We have lots of it. But it had just snowed, and it was cold. And I went to the spot where I was going to shoot, and I wanted to pack it down so that I wouldn't lose my kids in the snow. So I got there to find out, and I also wanted to build my snowman. Well, the snow was so powdery, there was no sticking of snow at all. There was no sticking. There was no way I could make a snowball, never mind a snowman. So I had a problem and I started to panic. And what I did is I came back home and I started to root through the garage and found what I came up with was I had a pillow beanbag step stool, like a footstool.
Mm-hmm.
So I unzipped it, took it out of its case. I put it into the shower in the bathtub and filled it with water. Stuck it in a big garbage bag. And then I got other pillow forms, smaller ones, stuck those into bags after I soaked them with water. I took jugs and jugs of water out to the site, and that was my concept to start building it. It didn't work out very well. Okay. So this is what I have here. This is actually a big bean bag. It's probably like a footstool bean bag thing, full of water. Not full, but enough that it's going to totally penetrate and soak my beanbag chair. And then in here, I have the same thing, full of water. So I know it's hard to tell, but these are just two pillow forms. So this is going to make the base, big base of the snowman, and then the top two. I hope. This is what I'm doing. I've just put it in the bag so that it doesn't tip over, because I don't want the bags to leak all over my car, because there's quite a bit of water. I'm going to take some extra water with me to make my powdery snow sticky for some snowballs and other things, just in case I need it. So stay tuned. So now here we are on location. My husband is trying to build the snowman using everything we brought. It's not working very well, and this looks like we're going to need some heavy duty Photoshop help for Frosty. This looks so amazing and cute, and I love it. Hey, let's do something different. So cute. So that was that. I took my images home, I had a look, and for the most part, I was really happy with them. Did I need to reshoot this one? No, but were there elements that were bugging me, and if I wanted to do well in competition, I knew I had to fix? Absolutely, exclamation mark. Bring in the 10th element where you learn from your mistakes. Notice the girl in the red in the far left. She's buried so far into the snow that she doesn't have any legs. I've lost her legs. I knew it would kill me in competition if I was to submit an image with an amputated child. So I knew I had to give her some legs, and there were no legs to steal from in this image or any of the images. The other part that was kind of bothering me was my gorgeous vintage sleigh, where all of the snowballs are sitting on, also buried in this sleigh, and you couldn't see it at all. So that wouldn't have killed me in competition, but for my own personal taste, I wanted to be able to see that sleigh. So I knew I had to go back and shoot those two elements. So after shooting a different session with my son one day, I took him back to the same location, put him in the exact same place. He had black pants on, black boots, so it worked well, and I had him simply kneeling in the snow. He looks really impressed, right? I also brought with me the sleigh and reshot the sleigh, just making sure that it was sitting on top of the snow this time and not losing all of its details. My husband here, who you can see walking on the right, he was helping me to build Frosty. But certainly he is much smaller than he is in the final image. We did the best we could. Same with the snowballs. We made the snowballs using all the water that I brought to the site. But you can even see clearly in this image that the boy in the green on the ladder, I had to get him to hold that Frosty's hat much higher, because I knew I was going to build him up in post processing. So it was a bit scary for a bit. I thought, oh, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. But we made it happen, and we got it to go. Wintertime, it's really hard to find lush forests, right? You're going to find a lot of trees that have no leaves, so there's just branches sticking out everywhere. So I scoped out a park that was full of evergreens for a purpose for this image.
Nice. I think a lot of photography has to do with problem solving. Once you learn the basic of it, it's the image in mind, and then problem solving, and how you overcome that. So was this a composite, or was it a...
Yes, it was definitely a composite. And if you actually look, if I show you through my camera roll here, at the beginning, you see nothing but green shots. And I do this on purpose. I go and I shoot everything at a very wide aperture. I'm shooting at 2.0, and I'm getting trees along the side, on both sides. I try to get as much as I can so that when I do composite my final image, that I can use any elements that I find.
I was going to mention that you determine where you're going to focus and let the background
Blur.
drop out of focus, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. For example, here I would have been um, getting my focus right at the very front center of this image, so that in order to blur out my background. It's sometimes it's tough to get a focus on nothing,
Yeah,
but if you
yeah,
can find
true.
a shot where the shadow meets the sun there, I was able to get that. You'll also notice in my original shots, I had my dog, and
Uh-huh.
he was going to be part of the shot. He's wearing his Hudson Bay Stripes rainbow shirt, and he didn't make the final cut, and not on purpose. I think he would have been cute in the shot, but I edited the whole thing, and then I realized I forgot the dog. And at that point, I had spent too much time editing the
Yeah,
image to bring him back. So
yeah.
he was out.
So before we get into the how you actually did the composite, um, how did you photograph this? What gear did you use? Because a lot of our viewers are photographers. What equipment did you use? What tripod did you use? Do you remember the settings? Did you use reflectors? Any lights?
Well, I'm a pretty plain Jane when it comes to technology and setting up my shots. I rely a lot in post.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a graphic designer from school after high school, so I learned Photoshop many moons ago. I
Mm-hmm.
love to create things in Photoshop. So for this, I'm a Canon girl. So I had my Canon 1DX is what I shoot with. And then as far as the lens go, I used my baby, which is right here. I have it beside me, which is my 200 prime lens. So
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful lens. Aperture is 2.0. So I typically try to shoot at 2.0, which is to give me that maximum blurred background. When you
Mm-hmm.
have a larger group, especially when they're expanded out over such a broad space,
Mm-hmm.
I likely bumped my aperture up. But to be honest with you, Manpreet, I like to shoot at 2.0, even if it means that I focus on my center subject,
Mm-hmm.
then I focus on the far left subject, and then I focus on the far right, and then composite them together, just so that I can get the beautiful compression and the bokeh, or it's all about the separation to the background for me. So
Yes. Yes.
um, especially with children, because a lot of times you're going to have to composite them anyway, because one's looking away, the other's not smiling, the other's doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, so you're going to be doing that composite anyway. So I like to
Yes.
shoot it at right at 2.0, and just really make sure that I'm focusing on each subject at least a couple of times, so
Mm-hmm.
that I can get the best of the best in post.
Yeah. Yes. If you can get with 2.0 your plane of focus bang on, it makes for an amazing image.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. So I don't use any flash. It's all natural light.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, it's backlit for me because I do love a nice rim light as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I backlight my photos as again. I shoot it just before sunset to get the nice warm glowy light.
Mm-hmm.
No reflectors, no light extra lighting.
But I take it
Just
you use the tripod though.
no, I don't even use a tripod, Manpreet. I hold it myself.
Yeah.
I shoot,
Oh.
yeah, I shoot it at a pretty high speed so that I
Mm-hmm.
don't get shake, and I hold myself very still. I even hold my breath when I click the shutter.
So doesn't that create any challenges while doing the compositing?
It doesn't, because I stay in the same spot. I don't move
Ah.
myself. I'm like a stone, and I'm just rotating up here. That's it. And I'll also note, because I am um, using a 200 lens, I
Yes.
am very far away. Like
Yeah.
I'm a half a football field from my subjects, especially subjects, five of them spread out that
Yes.
much.
And
So it's quite far.
do you use an assistant?
I have an assistant typically, yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
like to have an assistant closer to the subjects because I'm so far, to help
Mm-hmm.
tweaking with the posing, getting the kids in order, even making them
Yeah.
laugh. They make fart sounds, they do anything they can to make the kids giggle.
No, you got the posing in the final image all bang on, and the entire group, the classic pyramid shape. Bet you that was not an accident.
No, for sure not. It was
Yeah.
I I you can even see here's another image I'm showing you that I didn't end up using this one, but even in this, I'm still trying to get my triangles and my shapes. So it's something I
Mm-hmm.
always have, front of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely, I even used Frosty to help build that shape, and I knew I was going to. So that's something definitely in front of mind whenever I'm posing groups like that.
Mm-hmm. Good. And you've handled this so well. The you got details in in the shadows. You got details in the snow, and I am dying to find out how you did that.
Well, I typically will always shoot my images underexposed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, I don't want to underexpose my children so much that um, I lose detail and I can't bring it up. But as you can see here in this image, um, I ensure to shoot everything underexposed so that when I composite my shots, I can grab if anything is blown out. So again, part of
Yeah.
the compositing. Any of these other shots that you'll see, I have definitely lost some detail in the snow, but
Mm-hmm.
I am turning down when I'm editing. I will turn everything down, my exposure down, my highlights down, my whites down, and then I start to layer my images on top of one another and bring
Mm-hmm.
back whatever I do need to bring back. So it's all very much creative editing within post processing that gets me
Mm-hmm.
the final product.
Ah.
Okay, so here we have the half completed image, and with some of my layers. Now, I must have already compressed this at some point, but some of the interesting things you can see is how I first totally cleaned up my background. You'll notice the trees in the background. I've gotten rid of any bright spots that are shining through, and there were quite a few in the original shot. So using some of those tree images that I had taken, I filled in spots. I would have done this from just layering and either stamping or using the patch tool. I love the patch tool. I use it quite a bit. And then you'll see now Frosty has come to life. And I really needed to get Frosty out of the way because of the other elements, the boy, the ladder, those things. I knew I just needed to build Frosty into the glorious, large specimen that I wanted him to be. And then at that point, I had already composited the best of the children, and I layered the children on top. There's things like you can clearly see here, like the ladder, where I would have had to have now gone in and made sure that my shadows were believable, and I mean they somewhat were because they were taken all at the same time of day, but just a little bit of cleanup that I would have to do here. The other kind of funny thing I see, I added snow, which didn't make the final cut either because I thought that was just a little bit too busy. So it's just really continue to just play and see how things work. I have different gradients on here, um, just to see what's going to work.
So you selected the best poses, expressions from different images and put them together.
Into the kids, yes. Yeah, I think
Yes,
for the most
yes.
part, I found one that was really good, except for maybe one child, two
Mm-hmm.
children.
Mm-hmm.
I took enough of them, and they were having fun, and they really were in the moment. So it was mostly the work of the snowman that forced me to have to uh, really composite it separately. In addition, you
Mm-hmm.
could see the girl in the red now has legs, and my
Yeah,
and my
it's true.
my sleigh
Yeah.
is now the sleigh was a challenge. I'm going to admit it because that string here is pretty skinny in spots. So a lot of
Mm.
really close up, fine detail work that I had to do there to make sure that that was believable.
Yeah. And the poses of the children, their poses and expression are so genuine. It shows your your experience with children and how comfortable they are with you, comes through in this, loud and clear.
Well,
Now,
thanks.
did did you use any plugins, or was it just straight Photoshop?
Just straight Photoshop. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really not. I do most things by hand. I don't really use presets. I don't use actions.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do is old school, detail by detail, hand editing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, no, you've handled this so well. Now, did you do anything specific for the competition? Uh, Point out some of the things that you had to be take care of so that this made the cut for the competition.
Uh, Aside from what I've already mentioned, I think my blanket approach to any competition image is sort of like you said, how photography is just troubleshooting. So it's this process of elimination of distracting elements in my images. So, the first thing I'm doing is getting rid of all the distracting things that are taking my eye away from the story, from the main subjects that I want to attract that attention to. So, like the white spots in the background, I wanted my background to be seamless, to be clean. Any you could even see in this one, this is by far not the final image. In fact, this image, I think I took 14 hours to edit this image in total. Um, but I would have continued to clean up some of those blown out spots in the snow that I feel might draw the eye away. So that's kind of my first step, is to take away anything that's going to take the judge's eye away from the story I'm trying to tell. The kids snow on their snow pants, any noisy elements in the image. This jumping out at me right now is Frosty's right arm, our camera left. I'm pretty sure that arm didn't make the cut, because again, might look at it and think, what is that? What's that? Something's bugging me there. So anything you think might take their eye away, those are the things I'm just continuously looking at. And once I clean that all up, then I focus in on the actual subjects themselves and start saying, okay, now I need these guys to pop. How do I make them pop? I need to make them pop with dodging and burning. I need to make them pop by, again, cleaning up anything on them, brightening eyes, brightening lips, brightening teeth, anything I have to do to make them now look flawless, so that again, their eyes are going to be drawn to them. They're going to be socked in, and they're not going to go anywhere else in the image.
Just off the top of your head, without just as an approximate, how long have you been entering competitions, and how long have you been a member of PPOC?
I've been a member of PPOC going on 6 years now. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been entering into competitions since I started with PPOC. It was part of the draw. I'm very competitive. I play sports, and I like to compete. And I really, really love the way it pushes me as an artist, as a photographer, as a person, even as a creative person, to
Mm-hmm.
to push myself to do things that I wouldn't normally do. And yeah, I love competing. The elements of competing of your images is just fascinating to me.
I think prepping an image for the competition develops your photography to a level that normally wouldn't. And I see that in your images. I see that on your website. That it's like you treat each image that you do for a client like you were entering a competition.
For sure.
And all those little things that normally distract and we overlook them, you take care of them.
I
Now,
try.
did you have you found that it's impacted your entering competitions has made a difference in your photography and in your business?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. I mean, the minute I joined PPOC, the first step is to get accreditation. And here in Manitoba, we have it's kind of an accreditation preparation night where master photographers, three of them, you invite yourself to go, and you bring a gallery of images, and they critique them for you, and they tell you what they think will make it and what won't. And I never forget the time I brought a gallery of family images, and I was a family photographer, and I thought I was good. Everyone has, their ego. Uh, I took them there, and they started to point out these things that I wouldn't even have thought of, or the detail, the lever, like that you didn't whiten their teeth, and oh, this hand posing here, or this hand, just these little tiny things that I wouldn't even have thought of. And I never looked at my images the same after that. I
Yeah.
I all of a sudden was focused in on the little details that are going to make my images the best they can be, and how to make them really pop. So I've learned so much from it that it's changed the way my clients will get their images now. Because I try to make all of my client images competition worthy, because I have all
Yes.
of these perfectionist little details ingrained in my mind.
Yes. For the longest time, in my photography career, it spanned over 30 years, um, I never really entered competitions till I joined PPOC. And I was a little skeptical, but exactly what you are saying hit me so hard that these days, every image I look at, whether it's for a client or personal, I look at it through those eyes. And it's made such a difference. Now, in closing, what advice would you give an aspiring photographer? I know that you yourself have mentored a lot of photographers, and you have seen some, uh, you know, photographers who are just starting out, who are aspiring, and have brought them to a level of pro. What would you advise somebody who's just starting out, or who's just aspiring to improve their craft?
Well, it's a bit of a broken record, because I heard this all the time when I first started, and I've been in educational seminars and heard this again and again, but I can't say it enough, is that you have to keep shooting, you have to keep practicing, um, and take it from me. If you do something and you don't like it, then go back and try it again. Learn from your mistakes and go back and do it again, uh, because you'll amaze yourself when you go back and you do it again, and then you get it either right in camera, or when you get back and you download the reel, and you're like, whoa, I did that. That is, and then you think, I can do this, I got this, I am a photographer. And that is just the best feeling ever. But you're not going to get there unless you fail, and unless you keep trying. You pick yourself up, keep trying, unless you learn. And I mean, there's so many ways to learn. There's free ways, there's workshops, there's PPOC. There are so many different ways you can learn from either people, or educational seminars. But you have to also continue that learning. It's an ongoing journey to keep learning.
Yeah, with an ongoing journey with many aha moments.
Yes, yes, and those are the
Now,
best.
yeah. So now, where can photographers see, or not photographers, anybody see your amazing work and follow you if they want to, reach out to you if they want to commission you for work?
Well, as you mentioned, I do have two different websites, beckyfleuryphotography.com, and then I have my artforathletes.ca, which is my sports division. Both of those businesses also have Instagram pages. I have a Facebook page as well, Becky Fleury Photography, um, and certainly by email. But the best way to find me would probably be through my website, and you can contact me there. Uh, but definitely, some of my most current work is on my Instagram page. Uh, and all of my PPOC accomplishments and any awards that I might be winning and contests that I may be going into, I would proudly post on my Instagram page.
Well, thank you so much, Becky. It's been fabulous having this conversation with you. Now, if you've liked this presentation, we do similar presentations on a weekly basis. We speak to photographers in different genres, look at their award winning image, and understand from them how it was created. And if this is something that interests you, I will highly recommend do subscribe to this channel and hit the like button for this video. Till next time, thank you.